Crossing our fingers. It's working.
Yes.
You guys, we had some tech difficulties this morning, which is okay because these things tend to happen. Is it a full moon?
Almost this
It is
weekend.
almost a full moon. Okay, so it's
Mhm.
not. I love this is like my thing now. Anytime there's like a problem, I'm like, oh, it's like Mercury in retrograde or this. Guys, we have Hannah Parker here today for day 11 of 12 Days of Business. Hannah,
Oh,
how are you
yes.
doing today?
I am so good. I'm so excited to be here. I am so excited.
Hannah and I used to jam out a lot, and now she's back, and I'm so fucking pumped. If you
Yes.
guys don't know who Hannah is, let me just take a minute to introduce her. She is the founder of the Soul-Centered Entrepreneur, and she teaches women the strategy and the mindset work that they need to propel their businesses to get their lives and their income to that next level. And so today, Hannah's going to be talking to us about soul-centered scheduling and how to get organized in your business and how to align with the action in your business in a way that feels good and feels super connected, not just for your clients, but for you, right? It's like really fucking important that you feel good. So Hannah, I'm going to let you run the show. Guys, you're in for a treat today. Enjoy.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be talking about this today. It is such an important topic. And this was one of the things that absolutely changed my business, my life, the way that I could show up, the space that I could create for both my clients and myself. So this is kind of like my secret weapon. I kind of want to go into where I first started when I became an entrepreneur. I started a business when I was 18. It was a direct sales business and I was selling clothes. And I thought, because I came from corporate, I was working as a team lead in a call center. And so I would work like 60 hours a week. And so the more I worked, the more I could get done, right? And so if you've ever been in corporate, you're probably resonating with this right now. You hustle, you grind, you get that recognition, right? So when I came into the direct sales space, I carried that with me, and I really got that energy of like hustle, 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 right? So I was hustling. I thought that that was the best way to do it. I was showing up every single day. I thought that's what consistency meant. And I burnt myself completely out. I was working over 60 hours a week, working late into the night. I had no boundaries, and I wasn't mindful of myself. I was constantly pouring into everything else and everyone else and into my business because I wanted it to be this wonderful, beautiful business, but I just didn't understand how to do it in a way that also felt good to me. So when I left that business, it was really because I was so burnt out, and I ended up stepping into the coaching space. And when I started my coaching business, I was like, I'm doing this completely different. I cannot continue this way. I cannot hustle until I'm so burnt out that it's ruining my relationships. It is ruining my energy. It is taking away a lot of the joy and the fun that I felt was so important in the season of my life. I truly felt like I was incapable of feeling joy. So, just to give you an idea of how burnt out and really lost I was, until I found out that it doesn't have to be this way at all, even a little bit. You can work less and still hit your income goals. So you're making your money, but also have massive fulfillment and joy and connection and deep, delicious relationships. It's like you don't have to sacrifice yourself in order to have a successful business. And that is what I want to teach on today. So I cannot see your comments. I want to mention this because I actually think that Melanie 2 days ago mentioned this. I can't see your comments. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but if you have any questions, I absolutely will go back and answer in the comments. But let's get started. So first, why is this important? So I want to go into this a little bit of, I told you a little bit about my story, but also why this can be important for you right now to avoid burnout and to avoid overwhelm too. So as you start creating this clarity in your life and in your business and how you're showing up, it creates more space for the things you truly want to do, the things that light you the fuck up. So that light your soul up, that light your life up, that really create this environment of what you're wanting, right? So as you start to create this, you might feel, listen, I'm going to be honest, overwhelm comes, right? As we're working and we're grinding, we're pushing our comfort zone. But there's also this beautiful fine balance that we can create by creating the space for ourselves and understanding our energy. So we're going to go into that today. Then, to create fulfillment and success on your terms. This is one of the most, I feel, important things about this training, is that there is a lot of noise online, in the online space. There's a lot of noise. People are saying a lot of things. You must do this, you must do that, you must show up as an expert, et cetera, et cetera. There's all these like rules and guidelines and strategies that you're able to plug into. And really, success is what you want it to be. And looking at your definition of success and allowing that to guide you, rather than listening to the noise online, rather than looking at what everyone else is doing, and allowing that to guide you. Because yes, sure, you guys might have similar goals, but truly it's about you at the end of the day. What does success look like to you? So maybe that is $10,000 a month. $10,000 a month is awesome, but maybe that's $5,000 a month for you, and you want to be able to stay home with your kids. That's also a beautiful goal, and you absolutely can go after that with no conviction. Okay. So choosing your journey, choosing what you want out of this, and allowing that to be your guidepost. Then to reclaim your power of choice. Okay. And it kind of sounds like, how is this part of scheduling? Well, when you create this space for yourself, you are able to show up in a space that feels really, really good. You're able to show up the way that you truly want to, rather than doing the things that you think you should be doing, rather than doing the things that people are telling you what to do, rather than falling into those people-pleasing patterns, right? So you're reclaiming your power as you take back your schedule, as you take back your time, as you take back your energy. So that's why we're doing this training today, is really, it's about reclaiming your power and allowing yourself the structure and the support to show up and fucking blow it out of the water. Create quantum leaps in your life. Do the things that you truly desire to do, rather than falling into the old patterns of self-sabotaging, the I don't have enough time, I can't do it, or burning out so bad that you can't work. Because that's truly what happens. It literally is biological. When you burn out, it's not just mental. It's not just about, oh, I don't have the energy. It's like literally you are exhausted. And for me, I got so burnt out that I was losing my hair. So it literally came, like, manifested into this physical reality of like, you are sick and you need to take care of yourself. So creating a space to never allow that to happen, because that's not what we want. We want joy, fulfillment. We don't want to replace the rat race with another rat race of your business, right? So I want to talk about first masculine and feminine energy. So this is one of my favorite things to talk about, especially around scheduling, because we're all intuitive beings. I feel like every single person on this earth is an intuitive being. And there's this beautiful flow between hustling, because hustle is not a bad word, you guys. It's really not. You're allowed to work. I want to mention this, that I will never say don't work, because there's a lot of us who love to work. That's me. I love to show up. I love to create. I love to do things that make an impact, right? And so it feels good to work sometimes. But there's also this beautiful balance of following your intuition and honoring your energy and honoring yourself, and really nurturing that mind, body, soul. So having this beautiful balance between the two. Masculine energy, if you don't know what these are not gender specific. Okay, I want to mention that first. Masculine energy is really the hunter, right? He's going out, he's going to work, he's going to hustle, grind, the strategy, the structure, the data. So it's like the analyticals, right? And then the feminine is the gatherer. She is intuitively based. She is connected. She is grounded. So this is like prayer, meditation, the divine downloads, that delicious connection and nurturing, right? So you see that these two things, if you're too much in your masculine, you're probably hustling, grinding, burning out. If you're too much in your feminine, you're probably thinking of all these beautiful ideas, but you're never doing anything with it. So you feel like your wheels are constantly spinning. This is like the easiest way I can explain it. And And I want to mention that I make everything super simple. I want everything to be easy. I want it to be fun and I want it to flow. So a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about is very simple. I don't want you to overcomplicate it. I don't ever want this to be so out of reach that you can't create a soul-centered schedule, because you absolutely can. Everyone can. And it's really, really easy. So understanding those two properties of energy is really important when you're creating a soul-centered schedule, because it's like, where are you at right now? Understanding your energy is one of the first things that I want to go into is, where are you feeling unaligned right now? Are you feeling like you're hustling too much? Are you feeling like you're not making the traction that you want? Really being honest and open with yourself, and where am I at right now in my business and in my life? So I actually have a worksheet that I'm going to pull up, and I'm going to ask some questions so that you guys can kind of see what you can ask yourself to see where your energy is and how to create a schedule based on not only time management, because yes, time management is important, but energy management, because that is the game changer. So first, energy management is really about understanding, when do you like to show up? It's like a simple question, but I feel like it's really, really important. Of, when do you feel most aligned? When do you feel the most lit up? I am not somebody who wakes up inspired. I'm just not. I do not wake up and I'm like, oh, let's go and let's do this work right now. It's just not me. I have to create an environment of inspiration. And so this is why my morning routine is so important. I make sure that I do my morning routine every single day, because that is my devotion to myself, my business, and the collective. Because when I do my morning routine, I show up as my best self. I show up as my true, authentic self. When I don't do my morning routine, I am not connected. I don't feel like I am showing up as my best self. So that is one of my priorities, my energy priorities. And I make sure that I do it every single day because of that devotion, right? So let me pull this up right now, just to give you guys an example. Because morning routines, not everybody loves them. So this is something else I want to mention. You guys, honor yourself. Honor yourself. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Maybe you don't need a morning routine. Maybe you need an afternoon routine or an evening routine. Maybe that's when you feel disconnected. So some people, they wake up, they're like super inspired, they're super excited, right? And then in the midday, there's like this midday slump. So you would create an environment for yourself to feel inspired again. Maybe eat a delicious lunch and do some yoga, read a book, do some journaling, light some candles. So like, there's certain things that I do to really promote my own well-being and energy. You see obviously in the background, like I have my plants, I have my candles, and it's really about understanding what you love and creating an environment based on that. And you're like, some people are probably like, what does this have to do with business? Absolutely everything. It has everything to do with business. I used to think that the only way to be successful in business was to do business stuff. I thought that that was the truth. I was like, oh, if I want to get ahead in business, I need to do all of the business things. I need to show up consistently every single day. I want to be posting. I need to go live every single day. And really, what I needed to do was take care of myself and understand my energy and make sure that I'm honoring mind, body, soul. So I'm going to go into that too. So understanding your energy. When do you feel the most energized? What makes you feel inspired? What activities, what environments nurture this? So a really, really interesting thing to do is to take note of when you feel what during the day, your emotional state during the day. Do this for a couple days and see what happens. When do you feel uninspired? When do you feel most energized? What did you do right before it? Really, really take note and understand yourself. It's really about getting intimate with yourself. So then we go into, once you understand your energy, once you understand what you're desiring and the environment that you need, understanding your priorities in your business. Clarity is key, you guys. A lot of us intuitive beings, this is one of the things that I do personally, and a lot of my clients, is we like to fly off the seat of our pants. We love divine downloads. We love to take action from that space, and that's perfectly fine. You absolutely can do that, but you also can create a structure for yourself to feel supported, because when you feel supported, you show up in a space that it's a completely different energy than feeling completely chaotic and not understanding what needs to be done when. You can create a schedule that's like the foundation for yourself. I'm going to talk about block scheduling, and some people like just hate block scheduling, and that's perfectly fine. You absolutely don't have to do it, but it's really about understanding what needs to be done. What are the things that are priorities in your business, and what are priorities in your life, and how are you creating space for it? So create the structure. Create the structure for yourself so that you can show up in a space that feels good. So, and I have a little worksheet. That's what I'm looking at right now. I have a worksheet that you guys are going to be able to download. And it really breaks all of this down. So you can go through all your priorities. You can go through your energy. You can go through your schedule for yourself too around your business. So what's on your daily schedule for non-business tasks? Some of us have kids. Some of us have spouses. Some of us have full-time jobs, and that's perfectly okay. You absolutely can create a successful business with whatever is on your plate right now. Whatever is on your plate. Don't feel like just because you're in a full-time job, you cannot create this for yourself, because you absolutely can. Going into what are you doing for non-business activities? And then what do you do daily for your business, for connection, for money-making activities? What are you doing to nurture your audience? So really, I have it broken down into a couple different categories, depending on your business, because I know that some of us are coaches, some of us are in direct sales, some of us are like service-based entrepreneurs, right? So coaching would be one of them. How many hours a week are you coaching? Because this is something that I find really, I want to mention this really quick in case there's any coaches that are watching. I personally work 3 days a week. I work 3 days a week. I take calls 3 days a week. This is what feels expansive for me. Mondays I take off for self-care and for learning, because that's something that I want to do to honor my mind. Actually, Lauren taught me this because I worked with Lauren. She was, oh my God, such an amazing coach. She asked me, well, Hannah, what are you not doing? Why do you feel so uninspired? And I was like, well, I really love to read, but I just don't have the time. She's like, is that true? And I'm like, no, it's not true. I'm lying. I'm just not making the time for it is really what ended up happening. And so one of the things that I did for myself was, okay, I'm going to take Mondays off, and this is going to be my education day. I'm going to listen to podcasts. I'm going to read. I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to go grocery shopping because I love to cook. Cooking is one of those things that I like. It's my nurturing activity. I love to make pretty food. And it really was interesting what happened when I started taking Mondays off for myself to nurture my mind, body, soul. It was a game changer, complete game changer. So understanding when you're coaching and when that energy, because it's a huge energy activity, you guys, right? If you're holding that space for somebody and you're showing up on a live call, it really, really can be energetically draining, right? So not having a completely open schedule. That's what I did in the beginning of my business. And I was literally going to completely burn out. It was, it was a scarcity thing, is to be completely honest. It was a scarcity thing. I wanted to be fully available. I wanted to make sure that if you wanted to work with me, you could work with me at any time. And that just doesn't work out, right? It's okay to be flexible. Absolutely. I don't want to say like, you must only take calls during this time. If somebody's like, well, I have a full-time job or I have kids and I can only do it on, let's say a week, and you're like, oh, I can only do it on Monday at this time. Absolutely. Go ahead and do that. You can be flexible, but still have strong boundaries in this structure for yourself. So I just wanted to mention that. I do discovery calls in the morning and I do my coaching calls in the evening. This is what feels really, really good to me. I take a 2-hour break in between. So on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, 10 to about noon, I take my discovery calls. And then from like 3:34 to about 6, I take my coaching calls. And it works out beautifully. I am able to do all of the things that I want to do and really, really honor my clients and show up in my best energy, and also managing my time. I still have time to do all the things I want. I have time to cook dinner after 6. I have time to go to yoga in the evening. I'm able to go to bed at a decent hour, because what I was doing was I was trading my time to make other people happy. And that just doesn't work out that way. So understanding and honoring your mind, body, soul. What are the things that you love? And so the question that I asked earlier, like, what are those non-business non-negotiables? putting those in your schedule and making your schedule around that too. Because when you feel connected, when you are joyful, when you are actually nurtured, it's incredible the energy that you show up in. It is completely different from being burnt out and hustling constantly and feeling exhausted. It's really, really exhausting. So creating the structure, you can create a block schedule. So like I said, I take calls 3 days a week. And then on Fridays, I do content creation. And so this is one of my favorite things to do. Maybe you have an email list, maybe you are a blogger, whatever this looks like to you. If you take the time to break it down into where am I showing up and why? What is my strategy here? Right? Because honoring yourself and having this beautiful strategy, you know exactly what you're doing at all times. It's crazy when you have clarity. When you ask yourself, okay, what am I launching? When you create a structure, let's say you're a coach and you have like a program that you want to do quarterly, right? You're able to set that up and understand, okay, this is when I'm promoting. This is when I need to start creating content. This is when I'm going to do my free 5-day challenge. This is when I'm going to be able to talk about these subjects. So understanding the core values around the program too, and allowing that to guide you as well. It's really about creating this beautiful structure that not only feels really, really good, but flows and makes sense. It just makes sense. So coaching, connections, so talking to people, getting on those discovery calls, really, really getting into even Facebook groups, going and posting content in there, then going into tech and back end. This is not something I feel everyone spends tons of time on, and it's okay. You absolutely don't have to, but let's say you have to make a sales page, or maybe you want to update your website, right? Creating the time for that, creating the space for that, because it does. Some of these things, if you're not outsourcing yet, if you're still at the beginning of your business, I did all my tech stuff for a really, really long time. I would have to schedule about an hour once a week. And so I would just put that into my schedule wherever it would fit. Then creation to connect. So that's similar to content creation, the connections, speaking to people in direct messages, talking to them on the phone, doing those discovery calls, and then also the creation to connect. So going into content creation, because I know a lot of us do organic marketing. It's my favorite thing ever. And then sales and money-making activities. How are you making money? Because you can show up all day, but if you don't know your money-making activities, it's going to be really hard to make a sale because you don't know what you're selling. You don't know the strategy behind it. You can be connecting all day, but if you're not leading them into something, it's going to be really hard to make a sale. So then going into your personal too. So that was just business, breaking it down by business, seeing what you do daily for your business. What do you do daily for your personal well-being, your health, your mindset, your connection to source, God, the universe, your fun, play, inspiration? Fun and play is probably one of the biggest things that made a huge shift in my business, is actually infusing my day-to-day with things that I love, with doing something every single day that feels really, really good to me. Even if that's just taking a bath, it doesn't have to be just self-care. You literally can go for a walk. You can listen to music. You can watch your favorite show and laugh. Like, those are the things that I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be so rigid, is how I feel. And so in my last business, that's how I felt, was that I had to have all these business activities constantly, and I was constantly drained, and I was never having any fun. I constantly felt like I didn't have enough time and I didn't have enough energy to do the things that I loved. So what are you devoted to? This is one of my favorite things around scheduling, is asking yourself, how do you want to feel? When you create a schedule, set an intention. How are you wanting to feel? Because schedules can change, you guys. You can create a schedule right now for this season of your life, this season of your business, but as you continue to grow and scale and shift and pivot, things are probably going to change, and that's perfectly okay. So right now, when you're creating the schedule for yourself, ask yourself, what's the intention of this? Is it time freedom? Is it connection? Is it joy? Is it play? Like, really, really look at, what are you wanting to create in this season of your life? And create that for yourself. Because when you start choosing how you're spending your time and you create these boundaries, this is where your power comes back. You understand that you're able to create whatever you want. You have time for everything that you want to do, including those silly things that some people might not make time for. But to you, if it's important, it is necessary. So Now I want to go into some of the tools that I use. I like to keep it simple, y'all. I like to keep it really, really simple. I use paper calendar. Where is she at? It is literally just a little paper calendar. It is a day designer. I've used a couple different ones, but this is really my favorite, to be completely honest. So it has the big month view, and then it goes into hourly. So there's some crosses. This is an old page, but you see that it has hour by hour. So I always know what I'm doing. I schedule in my lunches, I schedule in my yoga, I schedule in my coaching calls. It's really, really beneficial to understand. I feel like to be able to visually see, I'm a very visual person. And when I write it down and I open my calendar, it's a part of my morning routine. What's going on this morning? What am I doing? What do I have space to do? Maybe I can go to the park. Maybe I can go get a nice lunch. You know what I mean? What do I have time for today? That's really fun and nourishing. And then I use Google Calendar too. This is one of my favorite things ever is Google Calendar. It connects with everything. And it also connects with Acuity, which is another tool that I use for scheduling my coaching calls. It is so easy to use, you guys. It is so, so easy. And you're able to create essentially like a block schedule so that you can't take calls during certain times, that you're only available during certain times, and that people can't schedule 30 minutes after a call or something like that. So that you don't have back-to-back calls, because that's something I was doing in the beginning too. I was not being mindful of my energy what it takes to be on a coaching call, or what it takes to do an online training or something like this, or even do live videos sometimes. It's energetically draining, right? So giving yourself some space in your schedule to recharge a little bit. And so that's why I love Acuity. It's so easy to use. And then I also use Asana. So this is something new that I've just integrated. I use it for my clients too. And it's like a checklist. And so not everybody loves to create really rigid, like you must do this, but I like to see all of the things that I'm working on. It doesn't overwhelm me. I have due dates on there, and I also see in my schedule, this is the best part about creating a soul-centered schedule, is that you see that you have space for all of it. You see that you don't have to do everything at once. It takes away that anxiety of like, I have so much to do, but you have so much time to do it. You've created this for yourself. You know that you're able to show up and that your energy is going to be really good too. So it's like, it's incredible what happens when you allow yourself to have this space. So really, I feel like when you create a schedule for yourself, when you create the opportunity for yourself to show up as you want to, within integrity, within your authenticity, without the hustling till you burn out, it creates longevity in your business. It creates sustainability. You're not burning out and then hiding for weeks and weeks and weeks, right? Because I see that happen. You go into a launch, right? You launch a new program and you end up launching this beautiful program and you're burnt out for weeks after because you crammed it all together and you expended so much energy that you're not creating for weeks, and then you're not making more connections, more impact, and more income, right? Because that's really what this is all about. It's not everything is about the money, but I also want to say that making money in your business is important. It really, really honors your energy. So allowing yourself the opportunity to do this. That's all I can say is like when you give yourself permission to show up how you want to, you show up in a way that feels really, really good. When you stop hiding from the work, because I feel like that's what a lot of us intuitive women do. We hide from the work. We hide from the structure. We hide because it doesn't feel normal to be contained. Your schedule does not have to be contained. Like it doesn't have to be this rigid thing. It will allow you to be expansive if you so allow it. Does that make sense? It really is about choosing different. Don't allow the definition of schedule to scare you, because when you create the structure, it's just amazing. So I can't wait to see your guys' questions if you have any, but that's really all I have for you today. Hi, Lauren.
Awesome. I have to tell you, it's been really fucking crazy how every single day that we've run 12 days of Bizmas has directly been connected to something that I was going through. And it's so cool because today, literally before you and I jumped on our call, I was rearranging my calendar. I was getting more organized about where my times were. So this is perfect. So guys, trust me when I say this, everything Hannah shared is so fucking important. Let's have a conversation about over availability, because I think there's this issue with us thinking we need to have all of this available room on our schedule, all of these opportunities to book coaching calls. Like I've seen people have like slots on their calendar to book calls from like 12 p.m. to like 8 p.m. I'm like, what are you doing? So talk a little bit about working through that fear of like, well, if I have specific spots, what if that time doesn't work for someone? And what if they don't hire me because it doesn't work?
Yeah. This literally was one of something that I did in the beginning of my business was I was available from literally like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And it was insane because some days I would have 7 discovery calls and it's like, that is not sustainable. You are going to burn yourself out. So, but I found when I was doing the inner work, it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I so available right now? I was so used to it in my last business because I was afraid that people were going to be mad at me and they weren't going to hire me and I was going to lose the opportunity to help them. And so it was really like this fear thing. But I was asking myself, I was like, is that even true? And when I asked myself that, no, of course not. If one day doesn't work, another day will work. And if it really, really doesn't work with them, if they're brave enough to ask me, absolutely, I'll make a little exception. You know what I mean? It's like, you get to choose what you do. You get to choose those boundaries. And you don't have to sacrifice to be a really powerful coach. That's all I want to say is like, you don't have to sacrifice your time and be a people pleaser, because that comes out sometimes when you're starting a new business. You want people to like you. You want to be hired. You want to book clients, of course. But that doesn't mean you need to give your whole self away without honoring yourself first.
And like also too, for me, like what does that say to your ideal customer when she goes to book a call with you and she sees you have 20 spots available on your calendar? Like what message does that give her, right?
Absolutely. So, like you're not busy. Yeah. And one of the things, it was actually funny because I was really scared about that, of like, what are people going to think when I have no time available, right? And instead of like all this time, because I had all these slots on my schedule and I took them all off. And this woman messaged me. She's like, I love that you are not available all the time. It shows me that you create this space for yourself. And that's exactly what I want. And of course she hired me because I wasn't available all the time. So it's like, it's interesting what happens in the people you attract when you start honoring your boundaries. You're showing your clients what is possible and what is necessary to run a very, very soul-centered business, honoring your energy.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know what discovery calls are, they're the sales call, right? The opportunity to say, hey, I have this thing I want to sell you and you're interested. So you're booking a call with me. And I'd love to learn more. And I think it's so important, like time blocking is so powerful and so creative. It's what's allowed us to go to bigger income numbers, but blocking things out, it's like you're in that energy for a certain specific period of time. And then you can move out of your sales energy and move into some other energy. So I think it's really cool and effective to like watch that transition rather than like doing a million different things all day. Right.
Yep. And going from content creation to a sales call to a coaching call to like all of these different things. And it's like, it's such a different energy when you're creating and you're connected and you're writing compared to when you're on a sales call and when you're actually selling and pitching. It's like, it's totally different. So absolutely.
So what about boundary work with clients you work with? Because I think there's also this pressure a lot of people feel like if they're working with somebody or if they're trying to make a sale, they feel like they need to be in their inbox all day long. So what are your tips around this? What are your opinions on setting those healthy boundaries between clients and potential clients?
So really having boundaries with yourself and how you're showing up and around like business hours is really the biggest thing. So in my last business, I didn't have business hours. I was answering messages at midnight, and that just didn't feel good to me at all. So it's really looking at, okay, if you are running a business it doesn't make sense that you're in your inbox all the time, because you should be doing other things. You should be running your business and not just in your inbox all day long. Absolutely. Take time and create a schedule for yourself. Maybe 15 minutes every couple of hours, you check in on your inbox, but you don't have to sit in it all day long. Schedule it for yourself so that you can answer all your messages, be productive, still be available, but also still create the space for yourself, because just like you said earlier, it's a different energy. I know when I go into my messenger, it is a totally different energy than when I'm working with my clients or working on content creation. It's like, it takes a lot more energy to answer and send voice messages and connect deeply to somebody, and with an integrity too, because you don't want to rush a conversation. So you want to feel good about it.
Yeah. I think too, when you don't respond to people right away, it sets the standard for however they end up working with you. Because if you respond in the sales conversation back to back really quickly, they're going to expect you to show up that way when you're actually working with them. And that's not what we don't want to create, that enabled energy, right?
Exactly. So this is what's so funny is my clients, they know that I get back within 24 hours. And sometimes that means 24 hours, because some days I don't want to answer the message in a negative energy. You know what I mean? And some days it's like that. Some days we don't have good days, and they understand and honor that so deeply. But I'm also allowing them to do the same thing for themselves, to create the space, to honor their energy, to listen to their bodies and listen to themselves. And that is such a gift.
Yeah, I love that. So there was something else I wanted to ask you. It was so important for me. And then I just, scheduling your self-care, right? And like really making these things non-negotiable, because I think like even in my experience, I'll wake up and think that I'm already behind on the things I have to do, right? So this medicine that we give ourselves, this ability to have a routine and a ritual and self-care, I know you touched on it, but I just want to know from your experience, what have been some of the helpful things that you started to do to go from being somebody who neglects that part of yourself to saying, no, this has to happen for me?
I'll give you an example. This morning. So this morning I woke up and I was like, "Ooh, I have a really big training today. I am going to freak out," is how I felt. Literally woke up in this energy of like anxiety, right? And I was like, okay, like maybe I should prep. Maybe I need to get ready. Maybe I should take a shower. Like, what do I need to do first, right? Like, what business activity do I need to do? Because like getting ready for this was part of the process of getting ready for it. And then I sat down and I was like, what am I doing? I need to do my morning routine. Like, what is happening right now? And it was a difference between like, sometimes you don't want to, but you have to do what you need to do. What are you needing right now? Giving yourself that space and that support. It's devotion, and it's not, there's a difference between dedication and devotion. Dedication is something that I feel is very strict, very rigid. Devotion is more of this like beautiful, delicious dedication to yourself and to the collective, of how you're able to show up, living in integrity, practicing what you preach. So when I'm talking to my clients about self-care, if I'm not doing my self-care, what am I doing? You know what I mean? It's like, how can I show up as my true authentic self if I'm not honoring that? So even when I don't want to, it's literally about that mental awareness and taking a step back and saying, okay, what do I need right now? And giving that to yourself. So before I even got ready at all, I took an hour, which was crazy to me, because I was like, I'm not going to have enough time. But I was like, of course I am. There's always enough time. I always create enough time. So I sat down and I journaled. I did a huge gratitude list. Like, it just poured out of me. And it was interesting because I didn't even want to do it. And so it's like, it was so beautiful. And then I did yoga and I stretched and I did this incredible meditation. And then I got ready and I listened to my music and I was in such a good mood and I was dancing around and I was like, look, if I wouldn't have done this, I would have not have been in this energy at all. And this is why I do it, is because when I do it, I see the difference. And when I don't do it, that's when I mentioned it earlier, it's like, really be mindful of your energy. If you skip your morning routine, write that down and see what it looks like compared to when you do your morning routine. So you have the awareness of like, yes, you have the power of choice, choose what you want, but what's the most loving and caring thing you can do for yourself?
I love that. I love that. You have such a soulful energy. It's so amazing to watch you speak and share these tips with everybody. One final thing I want to ask you, Hannah, the issue of feeling the pressure to show up every day. I think this is something a lot of coaches and business owners feel. And so
Mhm.
let's talk about the grace of saying, hey, I need to take a break, or I'm
Yeah.
going to not show up today, or I'm going to
Mhm.
disconnect.
Yeah,
Tell me a little bit about
absolutely. Okay, so another example, another story. I'm going through a very different season of my life. I am getting a separation from my husband. And when this all happened, it was really hard for me to understand and navigate, how do I show up right now? How do I show up in my business? What is okay and what's not? Because I absolutely love consistency, but that doesn't mean every day. And it doesn't mean that every season of your life is the same, too. And it doesn't mean that you're not still going to make sales if you are not showing up every single day. Because if you're showing up for yourself, you are still showing up for the collective. So when you're honoring yourself and giving yourself the space and the grace, you are still doing business activities because you are the business, right? We're the vessel. If we're not taking care of ourselves, how can we have longevity in our business? So when I started this whole process, I was like, I'm really not showing up. I didn't post for a couple days at a time. And I was just like, when I do post, though, it feels really good and it feels really aligned. And the content I'm creating isn't forced. And I'm not just showing up to show up. I'm showing up because I truly desire to. And that's the difference, the energy. The energy is what's speaking. It's not the fact that you're showing up every single day, it's how you're showing up. So if you don't feel aligned, if you feel in a space of like, God, I just need a break, what is the most loving and caring thing you can do for yourself? Take a fucking break. You are not going to lose clients. You are not going to lose money. You're not going to lose an opportunity because the world and the universe is abundant. And if you truly, truly believe that and stand in that, it is incredible what happens in the space you create, because there is no anxiety. There is no pressure. That weight is off your shoulders finally of like, I have to show up every single day or everyone's going to forget my name. No, they're not. They're not going to forget you, because if you're living in integrity and you know your core values and beliefs and you show up like that every single day, that's consistency. It's not every single day. It's showing up like that every time you do show up. So I feel like core values and beliefs, this is something I talk about all the time, is so important. Some days I feel like I talk about the same thing over and over again. Self-love, self-care, understanding your energy, showing up authentically. But guess what? That's what people know me for, because that's what I truly believe in. And that's what I embody. That is what I show in my life and in my business. So it's like, that's consistency.
I love you, Hannah. Thank you so much for being
I
here.
love
Thank you
you.
for offering these tips to all of the
Of
girls.
course.
For everybody who wants to check out Hannah, you can click the link in the show notes, and we're going to be adding her Facebook group in there, so you can go check her out. And we'll see you all for tomorrow, day 12 of 12 Days of Bizmas with Catherine Zankina. I feel so bad. Like it's over. I feel so bad.
I can't believe it. It was so good, though. It was so good. These trainings have been just incredible. So thank you so much, Lauren. This was
Thank
just
you.
beautiful.
Thank you, honey. And thanks all of you guys for sticking around. We had 40 captivated badass business babes on the line and a ton that are going to watch the replay. Thank you so much for being here, Hannah.